Hey guys, welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs, and thank you so much for joining me today. So, I have yet another vlog topic about the Aztek, but this time we're just going to take a small break from actually working on it. And I kind of thought about the question, what would the Aztek look like today if it were still in production? If it had stayed in production, since 2005. Well, I thought about actually documenting this vlog from inside the Aztek today, but I've got too much stuff inside of it, so I guess I gotta make a little room. So I came into the Aztek the other day, and the glove box door was open. And it was closed for the longest time, but it seems as if somehow the handle broke. It was like perfectly fine, but now it won't close. So I guess we'll have to add another. I'll have to see if I can find the actual. Yeah, see, it just broke off right in there. What happened? That's strange. Anyway, I'll just have to see if I can find another handle mechanism, but that's just bizarre. It just kind of flopped open like that. It's very strange. So it's getting kind of dark now. I keep forgetting how dark it keeps getting now earlier. We're definitely going into the fall season, even though today was another 90-degree day. But after today, we're supposed to have a cool down in this neck of the woods, and all next week is supposed to be in the 70s. So what a drastic change that is. So maybe then I can actually get some more work done out here with the tech. We're getting closer. I got some parts in finally. We got our exhaust manifolds, we got our EGR tube, we got our O2 sensor for the back exhaust manifold, and we got the spark plugs and wires and the oil flow tube, but I forgot to tell them it was the metal piece that I needed. So I got a new hose anyway. We'll probably just change it anyway just to be safe, but I need the metal pipe itself that goes to the filter, oil filter housing. That's the part I'm concerned about. I'm not too worried about the hoses, but I need that actual metal line. So we'll have to maybe look into reordering that as well. But enough about that. Let's get to the vlog. So, this vlog probably won't interest a lot of you guys unless you are like me and completely dead set on thinking that the Pontiac Aztek is indeed one of the greatest automobiles of all time. And I know a lot of people beg to differ about that, especially, well, look at mine. I haven't driven mine once since it was towed home in January, and it's been in pieces for months, and I'm sitting here saying it's like the greatest car ever. Now, I know this from when I had mine. I deeply enjoyed mine, and there are times where even today I wish I hadn't gotten rid of mine because I had a really nice one, even though this one here is older than the one that I had and seems to have a lot more features inside. Like this is actually an upscale Aztek compared to the one that I had owned. But there again, I'm straying off topic, sorry. But what I'm getting at in this vlog is, I was kind of wondering what the Pontiac Aztek would have became if it was still in production. The Pontiac Aztek was only made from 2001 to 2005, and after 2005, Pontiac just cut the cord on the Aztek and it fell to an imminent death. I think the Aztek kind of fell victim to like bad timing. A lot of people, I don't think, were ready for such an eccentric looking vehicle. And compared to what you see on the road today, there are a lot of vehicles out there that have probably surpassed the Aztek as far as its eccentric styling. But I always thought the Aztek was a great looking vehicle, and that was one of the strong points, not only about the Aztek, but in Pontiac in general. Pontiac has always had their own signature look to each of their cars, and even though a lot of their cars were shared with a lot of other Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, Buick platforms, they all had the same cars, but the Pontiacs are the ones that always stood out the most because they always seemed to look like they were the most sportiest, and in a lot of cases they were always really good looking. But you can tell as time went on, as Pontiac was starting to get closer to their imminent demise, you can tell that GM in general just started really cookie cuttering all of these cars, and even though they had different badges on them, there really weren't too many things to signify that it was a Pontiac other than just the badge itself. A lot of other characteristics really started to be the same as, you know, other cars, for example. So let's look at the Pontiac G6. Now the G6 still looked like a Pontiac. It still looked like it was its own car, but in reality the G6 was basically a Chevy Malibu, a Saturn Aura. You know, they were the same cars, but the Pontiac still had its own signature style. Get a little closer to the end of Pontiac, where like we have the Pontiac G5. Now the G5 was a copycat of the Chevy Cobalt. The G5 looked nearly identical to the Chevy Cobalt, the coupe version anyway. I don't think there was ever a 5-door or 4-door version of the G5 from Pontiac, at least here in the States there weren't. But you can just tell that, you know, as GM was getting closer to their bankruptcy time, you know, in the late 2000s, you know, you could just tell everything started becoming more generic, and everything just really didn't look like Pontiac anymore. The G5 looked nearly exactly the same as a Cobalt. The only thing that really set it apart were the taillights and the front grille, where you had the two, you know, the Ram Air kind of looking grille. Aztek would no longer look obviously the way that it does. It would probably look a lot more mainstream to all the other cars that it would share the same platform on. Now you may be wondering, what platform would the Aztek have shared if it stayed in production? I can tell you that. So when Pontiac killed off the Aztek after 2005, they released what they called the Pontiac Torrent, which was nearly a copycat of the Chevrolet Equinox, the very first Chevy Equinox. When the Torrent came out, it was based off of GM's platform that included the Chevy Equinox, and the Torrent looked a lot like the Equinox. It didn't look anything like an Aztek anymore. It looked more SUV. It looked more, like I said, mainstream. It looked like everything else. And chances are, if the Torrent wasn't out, you know, if they didn't change the name, it would have still been an Aztek. I don't think Pontiac associated the name Aztek with the Torrent anymore because, well, at all. But because, you know, the Aztek turned out to be such a fail for GM that they probably just didn't want to take the chance and reuse the name and put it on, even though it was an entirely different vehicle technically. They didn't want to obviously ruin that. But also the Aztek was so unique in its looks and its performance and such. Why associate it with something that would completely take away that type of, you know, that uniqueness, I guess. That's what I think anyway. So basically, we know what the Aztek would have looked like if it had switched over, you know, with the Pontiac Torrent, or if the Torrent was the Aztek, and essentially it was. So let's say Pontiac wasn't axed off when they were, and they were replacing the Torrent with, say, a brand new Aztek. What would that have looked like? Well, I've taken the time to poorly Photoshop some Chevy Equinoxes into Pontiac Azteks. Now this is not supposed to be intended for copyright or anything like that. I don't own you know, these photos. I found them online on Google. You know, just did a Google search, and I just poorly placed some badges on them just to kind of see what a modern day Aztek would look like. So if the Aztek were to come back, it probably would have came out maybe around 2010, 2011, and right around that time Chevy had an all-new Equinox, and they looked a little smaller compared to what the original Equinox looked like, but I bet the Pontiac Aztek would look exactly like the Equinox. They would probably add, you know, the Ram Air grills to them, and obviously the Pontiac badges and stuff, but for the most part the rest of the car would probably look exactly the same, because it's still, at this time, GM was really cookie cuttering all of their vehicles, and there really weren't a whole lot of different things with any of their cars at this point. What's that noise? So they weren't really changing anything up between their different model lineups or brand lineups, and the Aztek would look just like a second generation Equinox at that time, maybe with the exception of some red interior lighting. I would imagine the Pontiac to have its red-orange interior setup anyway, but the rest of the car would probably look like an Equinox, probably have the same power plant, no more V6 engine. It's probably going to have the 2.4 liter Ecotec, just saying. But let's take it a step further. If GM was still making Pontiac and the Aztek was still out, what would it look like today? Because there is now a brand new version of the Equinox, and it looks a lot bigger and it looks a lot more streamlined. So what happens if we slap some Pontiac and Aztek badging on the brand new Equinox? Honestly, I think that we have a much better looking Aztek, to be honest with you. Now that GM is kind of rebranding themselves, and you know, even though I haven't really looked at a brand new GM vehicle in a long time, you know, I know that the new Equinox is actually a lot nicer than the previous Equinox, and the inside of them, the outside of them, everything just seems better. It seems like there's more quality and much more, you know, workmanship or pride in their work compared to what was being put out around the time that Pontiac was axed. So therefore, I think the Aztek would probably look a lot more streamlined. You know, even though this one isn't entirely streamlined, it is in a way. I'm gonna get out of here now. It's getting dark. Make sure I close this so we don't risk the chance of anything leaking. I think, you know, other than some interior changes, like with maybe the inside lighting and stuff, I think, you know, the Aztek would basically look exactly like the Chevy Equinox, in my opinion. That's, or very, very close to said Equinox. I left my bags out. I should probably put those away before I forget. So I don't know. This was just something that I thought up and figured maybe I'd share it in case, you know, anybody else may have pondered the same thing. And, you know, again, with my poorly edited photos, I can at least kind of show you guys what my thoughts of the a current Pontiac Aztek would look like. Other than that, that's really all I have right now. You guys haven't seen Little in a while. Hey. He's kind of mad at me because I won't let him go. Hey. There you go. Yeah, you guys haven't seen him in a long time. He's got a vet appointment tomorrow, so he's not going to be very happy with us. No, you're not. He's just going in for a checkup. He's due. That's all. So guys, that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed this vlog, if you agree or disagree with what you think the Aztek may or may not have looked like, or if you just simply didn't care about the topic, still, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. Also check out teespring.com/store/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS and vlog merchandise. You can also check out some of that merchandise down below this video under the description box. And that's it. I'm going to go grab something to eat because I haven't had dinner yet. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.